Welcome back. I hope you had a refreshing break. I'd like us to start with our third session. Our third session is entitled Women in Tourism. We're honored to have very interesting speakers with us. On the panel, we have Mrs. Dany Baz, Mrs. Diana Indjov, Ms. Ghada Kallas, Ms. Nehal Leheta, and Ms. Chirine Salha.
And Mrs. Rima Bikhazi.
And Mrs. Rima Bikhazi. I'm sorry. I'm just about. And Mrs. Rima Bikhazi. Our moderator for this panel is our own WLA member, Ms. Alameddine, who's a managing partner at Hodema Consulting Services, which specializes in tourism, hospitality, real estate, and retail in the Middle East and Africa. And she's a franchise expert. She has more than 20 years experience in various top management positions in sales, marketing, event management, and food and beverages. Ms. Alameddine has always encouraged women's career development and has actually been selected in 2018 among the 35 influential women in hospitality in the Middle East region by Hospitality News magazine. Please welcome Ms. Alameddine. Welcome the speakers. Ms. Alameddine, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Nermeen. Good afternoon. And thank you, ladies, for being with us on this panel. So our panel for this afternoon is From Startup to Star, the journey and lessons learned from the best in tourism. So I would like to start our panel by a brief introduction from each of you. So if we start with Dany.
Hello. Hello, my name is Dany Baz. I am an ex-banker. This is something nobody wants to say today. But I had a very fruitful career. Actually, I was in press, and then in banking, and then in finance and consulting, and now in hospitality. This is why I am with you this afternoon.
Diana.
Nice meeting to you. I'm a member of European Economic and Social Committee, which is called the Civil Parliament in Brussels. It's an interesting structure that founded the European community during 50s. As well, I'm a professor to many universities and running an organization that started like an umbrella organization in Washington. And so my job is between Washington, Brussels, and Sofia, which is my native town. And I am trying to focus, especially in our programs, about women in needs, women with special abilities, and tourism is something absolutely incredible related to creating good practices. So whenever you're like part of European Civil Parliament, you're just part of something that is devoted by thousands of women that desire change.
Ghada.
اسمي غادة كلاس. أنا صحفية وكاتبة من أكثر من 20 سنة. بلشت حياتي المهنية مع المجلات اللبنانية. رجعت انتقلت لعربنة المجلات الفرنسية. يعني بناخد الكونسبت ونرجع مش بطريقة الترجمة، بنرجع بنطرحها بالسوق العربية تتحاكي المرأة العربية والمجتمعات العربية، يعني تصير تشبه لها. كتبت مسلسل والتقينا عن الفساد السياسي بلبنان، وهلأ حالياً أنا رئيسة تحرير مجلة مدام فيغارو أرابيا.
Rima.
My name is Rima Bikhazi Azar. I am the hospital director of a hospital in Beirut called Fuad Khouri Hospital. I'm the founder and CEO of Bikhazi Medical Group Holding, which is an institution that holds multiple healthcare companies. I'm also the founder of a company called Cyclomed, which is the first PET scan center in Africa. Basically, I'm a mother of 3 kids, married, and here I am.
Nehal.
مساء الخير. أول حاجة I wanted to thank everyone for inviting me here. ست مديحة and this association. أنا نهال لهيتا. I'm Egyptian. I'm a mother of 2 kids, a girl and a boy, 2 dogs, a female and a male, and the wife of an amazing husband. I'm an interior designer. This is my profession. But I would like to believe that I'm more than that. I'm a creative mind. I respect everything around me, and I love to see everything so beautiful. So I love to design anything. I think that's it.
Thank you. Chirine.
Hello, everyone. I'm Chirine Salha, a mother of 3 as well, 3 young kids. A born and bred hospitality professional for over 2 decades now. And today I wear both hats with Phoenicia, Hotel Phoenicia Beirut, and with the Intercontinental Hotels Group. I'm also a board member with the Syndicate of Owners of Restaurants in Lebanon. Thank you, and welcome, everyone.
So what we will try to do in this session, we're going to be trying to discuss the challenges that women are facing, and to get some lessons to learn as well. So I'm going to start with my first question with Chirine. Can you describe for us a typical day in your life?
A typical day, I wake up at 6 a.m. and then it's a race waiting for 9 p.m. for the day to start at 9 p.m. because this is when it starts actually when the kids go to sleep. Not because what's before is meaningless or is not a pleasure of mine. It's because you get to do it without the burden and the guilt feeling that you're not giving your full potential to your family. And I think this is the biggest challenge I personally face as a mother of 3 and as someone trying to carve a career to even more heights. So come 9 p.m., when the role of a mother is put to sleep, I can give it my all without feeling guilty and actually take also time for doing things that are a pleasure of mine, whether it's watching Netflix, as simple as that. Before that, you have the rush hour, they go to school. First thing I do is do a tour of the hotel, check on the breakfast, on the VIP arrival lists of the hotel, check emails, reply to whatever needs immediate response, put on hold the rest. Briefing with the heads of departments and the general manager of the hotel to set the guidelines for the day. You need to leave a lot of free time for everything that's imprévisible that comes because it's not a static business. So 25% of your time is given to incidents that will arise on the day that need your immediate attention. You have a good part of the day that also goes into checking that we're adhering to the Intercontinental Hotel standards. This takes a long time because it's a very intricate and very task-oriented job. Lunch breaks, they don't come very often. And then the rest of the afternoon is working on future projects to improve, whether it's the product or the service or people development. And then 5 o'clock, it's back home with homework and kids, which makes it very difficult in our field because we are like in hospitals 24/7. So you cannot just close off and go. The day will continue once you put them to sleep. So yes, it's a full day and it's a race. Thank you.
Dany, if I go back to you, now listening to Chirine and listening to a typical day in Chirine's life, do you think because we have to juggle between work and personal, is that the reason why both genders do not have the same opportunities in the tourism industry, you think?
Actually, it's very interesting that you ask this question, because this is a debate I've had with my daughters. I forgot to say I'm the mother of 3, 2 daughters and a son. And this is a very big debate. So my 5 cents worth, in your life as a woman, you're going to choose between being a working woman or a career woman. And this is where the difference lies. Because a working woman can let go when she gets out of the office. If you're a career woman, then you're going to juggle like the amplifier when you're a DJ. I see that everybody's... You relate. That's what I told my daughters when they turned 20 and some, going to university. And I said, you know, you're going to look at the board and you're going to push the buttons that need you. Family, friends, work, husband, kids, and your own time. When you are a career woman, there is no time for you. You have to steal it. So you just do problem solving when it occurs. And funnily enough, hospitality is exactly like running a family, because you have to cater for everybody's needs and wants, and you want to go one step further. So exactly, you're going to have to do that. If I may just close by what our days are made of, I wake up like Chirine at 6 a.m. I have an hour to myself. That's the best time of day. And then it starts, mails, phone calls, things you have to prepare, until we go to the job. We run a guest house in Kfour, in Kasserwain, called Indira. And then it starts. You put the smile on and you run. You run after the staff, you run after the customers, you run after the suppliers. You have to run all day, actually. And you're problem solving every day. And then it ends sometimes very late. My kids are grown now, so I don't need to wait for 9 p.m. And very often I go back to my room and I work again on my laptop until I fall asleep. Voila.
Diana, do you have anything to add? Being, you're Bulgarian, you have been raised in the US, so you come supposedly from a world where it is like better in terms of gender diversity. So tell us more about your experience.
When we talk about gender diversity, we always think about all of the great inventions and legislative changes we did in the last 20 years. Like we have UN Convention for Women's Rights, we have UN Convention for people with disability, including for women with disability. And their right for having more opportunity, especially in creating medium-sized and small-sized businesses like tourism. And somehow we decided like it's going to be effective, but it's not. I mean, like I'm often analyzing with many different universities. I mean, we're trying to find what is missing, why we don't have equal opportunities, and why somehow the gender balance is missing. I mean, we have the legislation, like I come from Europe. As official member of civil parliament, like I can regulate and I can suggest different changes either to the council or the European Commission. But somehow it's very tricky at the end of the day. You see that all of those regulations are kind of lip service. So you do have, let's say, quota for women that they're supposed to be in the leadership, let's say in tourism or the SMEs, but it's not. Actually, you do have the most working groups, and those are women groups, because according to science, as a doctor of psychology, women are more creative. I mean, like, it's really interesting to know that. So that's why, I mean, they can be much more devoted to tourism, giving much more coziness of that. And at the end of the day, they do their job, but the leadership, it's taking over the male-dominated establishment. So, like, it's interesting to know, like, what has to be done? I'm like, if we didn't change it for 20 years, maybe we need something different, not just the legislation, but events like that, inspiring events that will teach. It's like a lifelong learning process here where women can learn something and apply and be much more fightful and believing in themselves.
Rima, being at the head of the hospital and as well having so many other businesses that you are leading, how do you consider or how do you describe your leadership style?
I don't think I have a leadership style. I have a mix of everything. I have a mix of every woman around me. Basically, if I would describe my style of working with my colleagues, I would say I am a psychologist to them. I'm a friend. I'm angry at them. I'm happy. I have a drink with them. I have a coffee with them. So really, it's everything. But one thing for sure that I do on a daily basis is that I engage every single one of them in all my decisions, in all my committees. I think out loud with them. I brainstorm with them. And they are always part of the decisions. And by the way, I have 15 executives at the hospital. 3 of them are men. So I'm surrounded by women.
Nehal, we discussed earlier that you as well, at your office, you are surrounded by women. So why that choice? Is it because one of the partner is a woman who is you?
I don't really know why, but in our field, the majority are women, the people that come do the interviews. And even when a male is hired, all the women are celebrating. They're very happy to have a male on team. We're made out of 56 employees. I think I could say maybe 48 are women. And what I could say about the women is that they work so hard to prove themselves, even though I don't think we need to prove ourselves. I think we've already done that. I think when men are successful and they're very big at their work, we don't hear much about it because it's like supposed to be very common. But when women, they achieve things, we come so loud about it. And we don't need to because we're just celebrated more and more, but we're the same. And the women at the office, they work so hard, they go home late, they have families, they cook because it's part of our culture. They have to cook for their families. They have kids, but they work late. And they come back on the next day early, on time. Whereas men are amazing. I don't want to be a feminist. We're all the same. But men tend to be a little bit rigid, a little bit. And I guess we have the feminine side in us. Maybe this is what we're known for. So we're more flexible. We multitask. We do so many things. At the office, I feel like all the women help each other, even though at the end, maybe the team leader will get all the credit. But inside, everybody's helping one another just to make sure the work will be done and that this person will portray the work as it is. Did I answer your question?
You did.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ghada, at Figaro Arabia, all the employees are women. Is that the strategy of the company?
صحيح، مش إنه استراتيجي قد ما هي لأنه نحن الدومين صحافة وموجهة للنساء، فأكثر ناس بيفهمونا هن اللي مثلنا. فمشان هيك يعني نحن كلنا نساء بالمجلة. وبحب كمان جاوب على السؤال الستايل تبع الليدرشيب. لأنه صحافي ما بيقدر يكتب شو بينطلب منه، ساعتها ما بيكتبه بحب. إذا ما حس بالموضوع اللي عم يكتبه ما رح يطلع شيء منيح. فمشان هيك نحن بنشتغل سوا، بنخليهم إنه يكونوا هن المبدعين تبع المواضيع، هن مبدعين الأفكار، مش سامبل صحفيين منفذين.
تخبرينا شوي, can you tell us more as well about how you are like working for tourism and how are you supporting tourism in your publication?
مدام فيغارو بالنسخة الفرنسية تميزت كتير بالتغطية تبع المشاريع السياحية، ونحن بنسختنا العربية تبنينا هيدا الشيء لأنه عن جد مختلف ومؤثر جدا. يعني تنقول نحن بدنا نحكي عن بعلبك، قلعة بعلبك، عم باخد على سبيل المثال. كل المجلات تنقول أغلبيتهم بيتعاطوا بطريقة شوي تقليدية. الطريقة الفرنسوية بتخليك أنت وعم تقرأ الموضوع كأنك عم تجي معنا بهيدا الرحلة. يعني منجرب نشغلهم حواسهم الخمسة. يعني نحن وعم نروح على هالسيت توريستيك منحكي منخليهم يحسوا بالروايح، يمكن بعبير المحل، مش سامبل اشياء مثلا تاريخية منحكيها بيقدروا يلاقوها وين ما كان على جوجل. منجرب نحسسهم بالمحل، منجرب نحط التفاصيل الصغيرة اللي ما حدا بينتبه لها، ساعتها بيوصل المسج وبيكون الموضوع مؤثر أكثر، وبنقدر نغطي الفكرة وراء هالمشروع السياحي بشكل أفضل وحسي أكثر.
Shirine, I'm going to go back to you. Now, being at the Phoenicia and working there in this landmark hotel, what are the policies that you have already implemented within the company which will be benefiting for women's career development? And is there any policy that you aim to implement?
Okay, I'll start by saying that the recruitment is always based on skills and not on gender. So it shouldn't be even an issue because you choose the right characteristics and the right personality for the job, whether it's a male or a female. However, today all companies are striving towards diversity and gender equality and inclusion. Intercontinental has created a program called the RISE program, whereby they spot potential future GMs, and through a 12-month training period and module, they train them for those high posts. Within that, they have also created something called the Lean-In Circle, where females can find mentorship. That's hence the word lean-in, a mentor, a female mentor, for transparency, whether it's just talking personal issues or work-related issues, and a network support. These two initiatives are to promote a culture of equality. What I also would like to add is post-corona, a lot of things have changed in the workforce. We're now more flexible with working from home wherever it's possible for admin jobs, giving unpaid leave, a few days of unpaid so that you can spend with your family. And you need to be flexible because it's all great to put this on pen and paper and say we want to do, but if you're not finding concrete ways of delivering it, it defeats the purpose. Equal pay is another initiative also, so the pay is not gender related, it is by position and job. What other initiatives are being done? I think this is enough if we stick to it and we move forward. The rest is up to the individual to prove whether they deserve the promotion or the development. Again, regardless of gender, because I believe the struggle is not in inequality. It is women want to work and the talent is there. Actually, in hospitality, you have more women entering, female entering universities to study hospitality, but most of them would drop out during their career. Why? Because they would reach a point where they need to make a decision between either family or work. The nature of our job demands long hours, relocation, traveling, shifts, overnight. And in this power, family always wins. Once your family is independent enough for you to give back to your career, whoever was a full potential or was a future potential, let's say, when you were there, has passed you beyond while you were at home. So it's difficult for you to come back and pick up from where you left, because other people would have taken those opportunities and you need to restart. To avoid this, you need a support network where you don't have to make a choice between work and family and be able to juggle both. And I think we're lucky enough in our countries, we have a support network, whether it's the family, it's the aunt, it's the mom, it's the mother-in-law. I find it easier here than, let's say, in Europe. In Europe, you would have daycare centers within the workplace. You would have extended hours for play schools. But then again, the guilt feeling of being away at work would still remain, whereas you'd rather have your children within family. It's a very personal issue, no black or white, but the most important is to believe that we're not doing this just to put a quota. We're 50% female, 50% men. We adhere to the trend of gender equality. It is really to give concrete tools for this to happen and to believe it, to create a culture where everyone works towards this.
Rima, if I ask you from your perspective, were you able or are you able to implement policies to benefit women's career development?
You know, I really don't put an effort on this because, as Chirine said, you know, we recruit people because of their skills. Now, historically, and from data that we have gathered here locally in Lebanon and internationally, the healthcare system by itself has been taken and overwhelmed by females. Why? Initially, 80% of nurses since Florence Nightingale are females. Now, it's been found, in Lebanon specifically, that all tertiary hospitals that have medical education recruit 60 to 65% of women students, medical students, more than they recruit men.
Why?
Maybe they don't mind having income at a later stage in their life. They don't want faster income because, you know, medical school takes a long time. Maybe they have more stamina to study so much. Maybe because they are gifted to do it. Whatever reason, but we have found in Lebanon that, yes, schools are having more female students in medical schools than male. Also, in latest USA statistics, it was found that administrators in hospitals are more females. And why? Why? Simply because they have better emotional intelligence. They're more compassionate for patients. They follow up better. So, in general, recruitment not actually recruitment, but rather the turnover of females in medical institutions is lower than males. Males leave medical institutions faster than females. So we really don't have to make an effort to retain them. Now, retaining doctors and nurses in Lebanon, that was an effort to do.
Especially nowadays.
Yeah, we had an issue these last 3 years. It had the brain drain has a positive, I don't know if I'm going out of subject, but it's an interesting thing to listen to, is that the brain drain we faced in Lebanon from nurses and doctors had a positive effect and a negative effect. The negative effect, to get it out of the way, is that it demoralized us. We were worried, we were concerned, we have no doctors, and you know, we had big names and they left, and this is sad. The positive aspect of it is that we have so many doctors, we have 400 doctors for each person in this country, or for 200 doctors for 1,000 per people, 200 doctors for 1,000 people, which is a lot. So there are so many that are quite skilled, are there, educated, specialized, board certified, subspecialized, but are not able to appear, and they are behind the scenes. So now they have the chance to show their skills, and this is what happened in actually 1982, and we were fine, and we became the hospital of the Middle East.
Dany, going back to you and to hospitality, how are you empowering other women and supporting them in a largely male-dominated industry, which is hospitality?
I think in hospitality, women have a very big role to play because they have the ability to be consensual, they have the ability to be more welcoming, less strict. So I think already, I don't know if Chirine will agree, all what you said is totally true. At a very, very smaller scale, we are trying to achieve the same. But I think that empowering, I'm going to say something you might resent. I think women don't need empowering. They're empowered already. Women have changed a lot. Our daughters are not what we were, and we're nowhere near what our mothers were. So empowering women is simply, I totally agree with Chirine, in terms of qualifications, skills, and merit. I like meritocracy. I'm not so keen on just giving a second chance to women because they are women. I'm sorry. I think they deserve it anyway, and they're good enough. The only thing that we've done, if I may, is we have adopted total flexibility because we pledged at the guest house that we were going to buy Lebanese, eat Lebanese, recruit Lebanese. So this is what we did. And eventually, when you recruit women, you have to give them the flexibility. So our chart, our weekly planning is full of holes sometimes, but they cover for each other, and this is very important. So when a woman needs to be with her family, someone else will take the turn, and it's working beautifully, honestly.
Nehal, you have a rich and diverse background. You are an interior designer. You've wrote even a book, a cooking book. So can you tell us a little bit what is the secret to rising through the ranks?
What's the secret to what?
To rising through the ranks.
Well, first of all, the cooking book was something that I worked on after I delivered my first son. I had to be home in the evening, so I put him to sleep at 8, and I just couldn't sleep. I wanted to do something. So I started to pursue the idea of that the Egyptian cuisine in Egypt is not really known. For example, in every country, you have a Chinese restaurant, you have a Japanese restaurant, sushi's everywhere. But in our country, the Egyptian food is known, and it's in every home. Mostly the grandmothers pass it to the mothers, and they pass it to the kids. But if you go abroad, you will not find an Egyptian restaurant, generally, not even in the Arab world. Very, very, like maybe I can say there is Abu Sit trying to go abroad. And all the tourists, when they come in, they want to know more about our culture. So they go down in the street, they eat something, and they get food poisoned. And then this is all they talk about. So, the Ali, yeah. So even we have the Sherkaseya. This is like the secret recipe of women. And they only pass it to, like the grandmother would pass it only to one woman, which is like her daughter. And the daughter would really try, the mother would really try to pass it down to the other daughter, and maybe she's interested or not. And it's like a secret recipe. So us as Egyptians, when we go to other people in their homes, we taste their Sherkaseya, because every Sherkaseya in every home is different. And this is how iconic our Egyptian food is. And where tourism comes in with this is that we want all the people from all over the world to experience part of our culture is food. When you go back, you remember the smell, the food, and it's sort of like, for me, when I travel, when I look at a country that I'm planning to go to, I think of food. I can even smell it from my bed. Yeah.
Great. We cannot wait to be looking at your book, to try some of the recipes.
Definitely. Would love that. Definitely.
Diana, can you talk to us about what are most of the challenges that you face?
I think that we all trying to find practicality, and in my work as a member, I'm trying to find something that is going to be very helpful for creating small and medium-sized enterprises for women in tourism. And the most important part is probably to have funding. Like, let's say, if we, in European funds, we're trying to push for having special funding for women enterprises there, especially for tourism. I'm like, it's just something like a positive reinforcement or a positive discrimination. We can call it the way it is, but like it's something that will provide stability for initiative of women. And second of all, funding for education, special education, and trainings that are important. And in the end, public awareness campaign like this one, I'm like something that will provide much more information. With the new challenges, especially with AI, artificial intelligence, we're having a very new world. I mean, like, okay, we used to deal with male-dominated society, so now with artificial intelligence, we have to deal with something extra. So, I mean, having better creativity, it's about how to adapt, and especially women in tourism and enterprises, it's about how to learn to cope better and to get the advantages. I'm not even discussing the negative parts, but there are some advantages that they can be produced like in the future.
Thank you, Nehal. You want to add something?
I'm sorry, but I just got one word, cooking books, and I didn't really hear the question, and now I know the question. So the secret to the success, that was your question, right? Is my mother. To be honest, she takes care of everything, and then I work. So first of all, she's like a working woman, just like us, but at home. So she takes care of us initially, and then the kids, the granddaughters, the grandsons, the food, everything. She's in charge of everything. And I think this is the reason why I might be here right now, because when I'm working, I feel like the house is safe, my kids are safe. And another secret, and a new secret, is the husband, of course, because it's not really easy to find a supportive husband. A lot of men seem at the beginning like they're excited about a working woman and they will support and everything. And then once the socks is missing, where is the socks? You work too much, you know? This happens. I'm sure a lot of women can relate. So I guess having a supportive husband
who is with us in the audience, right? He's
yeah,
present.
That's him. Yeah, that's him.
أهلا وسهلا.
But really, having a supportive
a
husband...
successful husband, exactly.
Hello, Abu. Okay. Having a supportive husband can really make a woman move forward. Having a supportive brother, having a supportive son. The things that I think are missing in some men, I try to push it in my son, because I feel like I know where one day one woman will talk to him about this, even minor things. And I think at the end the secret is the origin of the woman, the mother. So I wanted to say that. Thank you.
Thank you, Nehal. غادة, I want
في
to...
أقول شيء على
أكيد.
الحديث كمان. كنت قبل ما أتجوز وقت صار عندي أولاد كانوا يقولوا لي إنه مش غلط تضلي عم تشتغلي وفيك كمان بذات الوقت تهتمي بالأولاد. هلا ضل في عندي خوف كتير كبير إنه أكون أم منيحة وعم بعطيهم كل احتياجاتهم وبذات الوقت عم كفي شغلي وأعطيه كمان كل احتياجاته. فاكتشفت شغلة بحب لكم إياها إنه وقتها تكون الأم مبسوطة وناجحة وإبانوي الأولاد رح يكونوا ذات الشيء. يعني أنا بالنسبة لإلي ولادي هن أهم دعم لإلي وما بتصدقوا إنه بيحسوا وقتها أنت تحققي ذاتك كأنهم هن حققوا ذاتهم وبتعطيهم مثال إنه ما يتخلوا عن أحلامهم ويضلوا يحلموا حتى لو طول الحلم شوي بس أكيد إذا في إصرار أكيد رح نحققه. Thank you.
That's very true. So if I have here like successful businesswomen, so if we want to be giving advices to young ladies, what would you advise them? Dany.
I don't want to say the basics, which is have faith in yourself and others will have faith in you, but it does count. I think they have to be prepared to have double the energy that is required, double the patience.
Double energy, double patience because she's a woman?
No, because she's going to probably choose any career. There are no boundaries to what a woman can do today. There is no limit, so you can be anything. But it's true that somewhere we always have to prove ourselves. I had this little quote, stupid quotes that said, a woman has to do double the work to get half the pay and so on. It's unfortunately still valid. I belong to a generation where women didn't work as much as I did. I'm older than most of you here. And when I was 23, I was parachuted in a management role because the war was raging in Lebanon. And the person I was coming to second just left the country, leaving me alone as a manager. So I remember clearly at this time that when I have a man's name, that's also very confusing. So it doesn't help. But I remember people who would come, ask my assistant, can I talk to Dany Baz? And the person would say, Tfaddal, this is her office. And the person would step into my office where I'm sitting behind this big desk and I have a huge conference table and would tell me, can I see Mr. Dany Baz? You're right in front of her. Okay, the name confusion doesn't help. But it's true that as a woman, I'm sorry, maybe I have a longer work experience than most of you. So I'll come back to the youth. So we paved the way for that. We have opened already. But these avenues tend to close back very easily. So there's nothing that is forever. Women engineers, women in space, for heaven's sake. So we can do anything. It's just, if I have an advice to give to the younger generation, and I don't like the cliches of find something you love. If you don't find something you love what you're doing. It's so much easier. You know, we have to be less of idealists. We have to be concrete. We have to work. Hard work, I think, is the best advice I can do. Lead by example, work hard, think hard, love hard. That's what I would advise.
Diana, your advice to the younger generation?
I believe there are like 3 very effective magical tricks. I'm like, it's about to find support system and support networks, or to create support networks yourself and to find good mentors. I mean, it's important to have a mentor, like people that are very wise. And in my life, I had 2 mentors. One of them, because like my organization was founded in Washington. One of them was co-partner and friend of Martin Luther King. You can imagine her role. And then the other one, like she created the tourism and all of the industry in the United States. She passed away quite recently at the age of 99. But Sharon Miles is the first one, and the second one is Donna M. Steiger. They teach me for something important. I mean, as a woman, we can do anything we want, but we need to have a support system. So it's about finding support system and support figures by other women. Thank you.
So it's exactly what Ghada said just earlier. We need the support system. Ghada, do you have anything to add?
Can't hear you. Sorry.
Do you have anything to add as an advice?
Yes. بحب أقول عن مشاهداتي للمرأة بالسياحة خلال هالفترة بلبنان. بحب أقول شغلة كتير مهمة، إنه بعد انفجار المرفأ شفناها تحت الأنقاض، بس بسرعة غريبة عجيبة قدرت تلاقي حلول، قدرت تطلع وقدرت تخلق المشاريع خاصة السياحية تبعها. يعني اللي عندها بيت قديم شفناها دغري حولته لغاست هاوس، اللي عندها يمكن فرن قدرت خلقت فكرة أو ريسيبي جديدة وقدرت عملت فرق. يعني شفناهم حتى أوقات مش معلمين، بس يمكن كانت الأزمة كتير قوية عليهم، أخذت دور الرجال أو دور رب المنزل، أخذت دوره وتفوقت بكتير أوقات واشتغلت على حالها، خلقت الفكرة تبعها وطارت فيها.
Thank you. Rima?
Yeah, I would add to these beautiful advices. For you women out there, young women, don't be afraid to show your emotions. It's okay to show emotions. It's okay to cry. It's okay to overlaugh. It's okay to feel down. It's okay to be moody. So really don't be shy to show emotions, because sometimes if we cry, we feel embarrassed. But it's just fine. It works well, and life goes on. That's one advice. A second advice, sleep well. Get your sleep and get your mental health well. And last advice is to stick to your ethics and to your integrity, and don't be tempted to do anything against your principles.
Nehal.
ليك أمينة. سوري. بس بدي أقول شغلة، إنه قد ما كانت الصعوبات كتير قوية علينا، إذا أصرينا بدنا نعمل شيء كل الدنيا رح تركع قدامنا ورح نعمله.
Thank you, Ghada. Nehal.
I actually have two advices. One to follow up on yours. Once a good friend of mine, she's much older than me, told me, عززي من نفسك. And this, I found a very good advice that I use almost every day. I look at the situation, وبعزز من نفسي. And it always shows. Whatever you feel inside always shows from outside. So I advise every woman, every woman, to just think how good she is, to believe in herself. I know that these are words that everybody says to each other generally, but deep down, لو الواحد عزز من نفسه, you'll be portrayed in a completely different way. I think we wouldn't be sitting here and even negotiating how powerful we are. The second advice is that I believe when women come together, they can do limitless ideas. So when you have a good idea, share it with a good friend, share it with someone you believe in, share it with someone that's in your same field. Women together make things happen. Thank you.
Chirine?
I agree with everything that was said in terms of support network, time for yourself, etc. So what I would add is choose networking with clients, with suppliers, with friends, because this is a key to your success. And always be on the rebound, as if you're coming out of a relationship and you're trying new things. Always be receptive and adaptive to everything that's new because you don't want to stay where you are. So the more open-minded you are and sensitive to what's going on around you and receptive, you will follow with the path of going forward and try new things. I was thinking when you were mentioning that work double and try double, I was sitting with my father and my daughter, who's 9 years old. So my father's asking my daughter, what would you like to be when you grow up? And she said, a doctor. I told her, great, choose either pathology or a dentist because they don't require long hours. And then my father told me, why are you putting restrictions on her? Maybe she wants to become a brain surgeon or a heart surgeon. But your first instinct is, because you know it's so hard that you don't want her to be running off to emergencies at night, and that she might reach a stage where she'd say, enough of my career, I'm going to stay home, I cannot do those hours. You're choosing the easy way for her, in a lab or a dentist with fixed hours. So it's a very difficult it's a very difficult exercise to put yourself in a frame of mind where you actually want to go and get everything out there. And the test is when you see your daughter wanting to, and you say, please take the easy way out, which is wrong, obviously, but it's human nature. It's a protective nature, I guess, because you know it's very, very difficult.
Very true. Unfortunately, we are running out of time. So before that we conclude the session, I know that we have among the audience Elsa Sharabati. Elsa, she is a Lebanese woman journalist specialized in tourism. And Elsa, you are always making a point to empower women in the touristic sector. Can you share with us what did you discover on the ground during your shootings, please?
Hello. It was really an amazing debate. I love your ideas, your advice, and I agree with many of the things that you have said. Just go back to what Rima said, I love when you said about ethics, just follow your ethics. And my ethics led me from television to social media because I wanted to be my own boss. And during this journey, I passed from voyage around the world to voyage Lebanon, just to shed light on these amazing women in hospitality. And I think Ghada talked about the guest houses, and this is what I discovered. I first began with voyage Lebanon, a video, a 3-4 minute video about rural areas, just to give the chance to people to discover that Lebanon is not only Baalbek or Jbeil, it's much more than this. It's these amazing villages like Four, from my childhood, like many small villages across Lebanon that are full of emotions. Traveling with my 5 senses led me to discover the emotions of women, and that women in hospitality, as you said, Dany, are amazing because they lead their business like a family. And I decided from the basics of the idea of sisterhood, and this here, I want to just give credit to Madame Caroline Fatal from Stand for Women, who pushed me a lot to do this, to give visibility and give my know-how as a journalist to women-led businesses in the hospitality sector. And that's how I came up with the idea of Ahla wa Sahla. And it was amazing to see these women in the villages turning their old houses into guest houses, not only because they wanted to do it, but because the Lebanese crisis pushed them to do so. Because they were divorced, we cannot hide that now, especially in Lebanon. We have lots of divorced women, I know from my friends, and they want to stand strong and do something, and they excel in the hospitality service department. And what I did is that I offered my know-how, and I'm still doing this, maybe we can do something with Indjov, just to show that women excel in this business, although they have always been hidden behind men. because they have the leader role. And the emotion that women show and the small details, this specific food and this specific scent and this specific plant or decoration item makes all the difference. And I think it's a journey I would love to continue. And I'm pleased that I've heard all the beautiful ladies talking about this sector. I think that sisterhood is very important, that women, we help each other to climb the stairs and to give more visibility to other amazing women like you.
Thank you, Elsa. I would like to thank again Dany, Diana, Ghada, Rima, Nehal, and Chirine. And I would like to ask Madiha to come on stage, please. We have an award for you from Dr. Diana.
We have visionaries that are changing the history. So we're making research about all of your work. So thank you for changing the history and creating hope for women. So this is our special award.
Thank you again, ladies, and thank you for the audience.